Hello and welcome guys to another video. Today we're going to have a look at all my ACC settings, including my force feedback settings for my Thrustmaster TX, my audio settings and my button assignments. So let's jump straight into the video after the intro. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into options from the main menu, and here we have all our options and settings. So the first thing we're going to have a look at is the video settings. Now these are the video settings that I use when racing. Now I can't take any credit for these, I did not make them. These are from James Baldwin, and the link to his video showing his video settings, which are these here, is in the description, so feel free to check that out and drop him a link. So as you see, we'll just have a wee scroll through so you can see. I'm not going to explain everything, but just have a slow scroll through so you can have a look here. Now this is what I actually drive with. Now when I'm taking pictures I put everything to epic, but these are the settings I use for driving. If you want to take high quality pictures, I just use the epic settings there, as you see here, so everything on high and epic if you want to take high quality pictures. Audio is actually really important because since we aren't using a motion simulator or anything like that, we have to rely on the sound and the force feedback to know what the car is doing. So the main thing that we want to be able to hear and feel is the tires, to know how much grip we have in the corners. So here's my audio settings reflecting that, as we see here. So as you see, we have the master volume very low because I find ACC very loud. These top 5 values, everything is at 50% for the engines, the frame, the damage, etc. But the tires are at 100%, so I can hear the tires above everything else. And the opponents, weather and ambience, these are the settings for them, as you see here. Make sure you put on your spotter, that is super helpful. Music down at 4% because I don't really want the music. And then as you see, we've got things like this at max. So these are the audio settings I use. Now this is great because I can actually hear when my tires are locking and things like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a comparison. So first there is a clip of everything on max volume, and then there is a clip with my audio settings that we're using here, and listen to the fact that we can actually hear the tires locking when we use my settings. Force feedback settings. So here we're going to have a look at the settings I currently run for my Thrustmaster TX wheelbase. Now we can find our force feedback settings by going to controls in the options, and that brings up our force feedback settings and our button assignments. Please keep in mind that you need to adjust the steering lock under advanced based on the car that you have. There's a link in the description for the correct steering lock for every single car. Or what you can do is do what I do here and make sure that my wheelbase matches the in-game wheel. So let's have a look at our force feedback settings here. We have the gain at 75%, minimum force and damper at 0, dynamic dampening at 100, road effects at 0, and frequency 400. Steer lock 896. For the McLaren, I find that is perfect with this wheelbase, it matches up really well. Steering and brake grammar both at 1, and gear shift debouncing at 50 milliseconds. So those are the basic force feedback settings I use. Feel free to try them out and see what you think. If you have a look on YouTube, there is a lot of different settings, so just try them out and see what works best for you. Button assignments. Some of the main buttons that we want to make sure we have assigned. The biggest one is the pit limiter. The other ones that are quite important depending on the server you use is the ignition and the starter. The other ones that I have assigned and use very regularly are the traction control up and down, ABS up and down, the brake bias increase and decrease, and the brake bias increase and decrease. So here is what I have them set up on my Thrustmaster TX. So first of all, we've got the 6 main ones on the left. Your steering, you obviously want that assigned, as you see here. Make sure that that is assigned properly. We have the throttle, we have the brake, and to assign something, you simply press on it, and then press a button, and then that will assign it to. And if you assign something wrong, you just press the X, and that removes the assignment. So as you see, we've got our steer, our throttle, brake, our shift up and shift down assigned. Now, for the brake and throttle, I'm not sure if it's my wheelbase or my pedals, I'm not sure. But for mine, I do have to have them inverted. So you just simply press the drop down menu, go across, and as you see, we have the inverted. We also have the options for the minimum and maximum limit, so we can set those dead zones. Okay, so here are my buttons assignments here. So for starting the engine, you first press the ignition and then the starter. So my ignition is this button here. My starter is this button here. My pit limiter is this top right button, so it's easily accessible to quickly hit the button. Now here are the electronics that I use most on the car. So this is assigned to increase and decrease traction control. This is assigned to increase and decrease ABS. This is assigned to increase and decrease brake bias. We also have engine map, which is assigned to this right D-pad as well to increase and decrease. I don't assign my indicators or my rain light or flashers or anything like that. I simply assign my cycle light stages to this bottom on the top left here. Cycle camera I have assigned to this middle button here. Look left and look right is assigned to this D-pad left and right. User interface is assigned to this D-pad here, so up, down, left, right. So that means when you bring up the MFD menu to adjust pit stop strategy, you use this D-pad on the left here. As you see, you need to cycle the HUD MFD up button, so that allows you to bring up the pit stop information and things like that. Under advanced, we have the save replay button, which I have assigned as this little toggle switch here. So that finishes it off for button assignments. Apologies about the bad camera angle. Let's move on to the next one. So last but not least is our view settings. Mine aren't really adjusted much to the default, but I thought you might like to see them anyway. So to do that, we have to jump into an offline session. So here I've just put loaded up an offline race. We have to press the escape button on our keyboard. That brings up the pause menu, where we can then select our view settings. Now, here are my settings. I use the dashboard view, as you can see here. I did try the cockpit where you can see the hands, but I just went back to the dashboard view as I preferred it. The only thing I really adjusted is the height, put that up to 0.7, because my TV has quite a high stand. Putting it up to 0.7 kind of made my wheel and the TV sort of line up a bit better. As you see, lateral and distance on 0, field of view 54, and pitch at 0. This is our motion, 0%, wheel and dash, our mirror settings. I haven't really adjusted any of these settings, to be honest, except the actual height and field of view. Triple widescreen, we obviously don't have that set up because we don't have a triple or widescreen, and we don't have the HDR set up either. But that finishes it up for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy this video and find it helpful, please leave a like and subscribe. As always, guys, thanks for watching and see you again next time.